Yes, the recording is in progress. This is the Jen Weigel Show video edition for those who are watching this or those who are listening. Of course, the Jen Weigel Show. Pat Longo, so happy to be talking with you and getting to see your smiling face because you're in Long Island and I'm in the Midwest, and that doesn't mean we get to hang out and have coffee very often,
No, but we can do this, which is wonderful.
which is something we have been doing. And I'm grateful for your attendance in the Spiritual Social Club. So, for those who are out there who have not been part of the Spiritual Social Club, Pat has been teaching intuitive development. She does this now on a global level because of COVID. It shifted things for her to make, well, you were always doing outreach globally. That's not true. You've always been
I
teaching.
did. I just didn't teach that way. I mean, I did in individual sessions. Now it's very different. So we
But
gather together.
you gather together now a little bit in person. You were just talking to me about how you had some people come to you in person for some sessions. So you still do healing sessions in person, but a lot
Yeah.
of it has branched out in the Zoom land. And you were sharing with me before we started recording about what you got students in Japan, Alaska. I mean, where,
Oh, yeah, Taiwan and Singapore and Australia and Finland and all over the United States. Canadians like crazy. I have a lot of people, and you'd be surprised how many people are coming in person. Yesterday, I had all people in person all day long,
hmm,
and some of them drive 5 hours to get where, to get to see me, which again, I feel bad because I feel I could do it online like I do with so many others, but some people just want that physical presence, and
and that's
I'm
important.
available. So I mean, I accommodate whatever. I've had a lot of people now for, I'm going to say, 5 months already. People have been coming, more than you realize.
But
And
you're also hard to get in with, Pat. So you say you're available, but you're also kind of not
yeah,
so.
yes and no. It's interesting because I don't overbook. I don't. Years ago, I had like a 6 month waiting list, and a woman called with fourth stage ovarian cancer. Do I just ignore that? I can't do that. So I stopped it. I stopped that kind of booking, and now we just take it. It's amazing. Let's just put it that way. And I just sometimes a cancellation happens exactly at the right time. And people say to me, "Oh my God, it's my father's birthday today, or it's the day my mother passed, and I can't believe I got an appointment." I said, "Who's ever supposed to be here is supposed to be here.
Mhm.
That's it." And I know that. I know that as I live and breathe because I've been doing it so long. And the right person shows up.
Let's rewind the clock then for the listeners and the viewers that this was not your mo. You were not thinking you wanted to grow up and be a healer. Uh,
No.
Decades later, and you're a grandmother to how many grandchildren do you have now?
17,
17, five children,
5 children. Yep.
17
Lots
grandchildren,
of kids in college right now.
and a lot of intuitives in the mix peppered throughout there. You've got nieces
Yes.
and nephews and grandchildren and children and siblings. Your sister Carol Tranchina, another favorite of the
Mhm.
social club, who is a medium now, who didn't come out until, oh, I don't know, mid 50s, something along those lines.
Yep. Yeah.
Like for you, you were mid 40s, your hands turned on, your world opened up, and now here you are teaching people how to work with their intuition. Their body is a compass. They're not quite sure what's happening. Their sensations, they're feeling things, they're seeing things, they're hearing things, and you help them discern what is going on. And everyone's a little bit different, which is probably why
Yeah.
some people want face-to-face time with you because they're
It,
wired differently
it
than.
has to be different. They are unique,
Yeah.
like snowflakes. No one has the same DNA. No one has the same blueprint. And no medium could read the same. No healer can heal the same. No person can think, perceive, feel. They just can't. Everybody is individual. And so I get the pleasure and the experience of seeing and meeting all of these people all over the globe that are all going through the same thing. I mean, as far as you just said, seeing, hearing, feeling, not understanding, thinking they're crazy. Everybody comes in and says, "You mean I'm not crazy?
Right.
You mean I'm not crazy because my mother made me do this or shooed me away, or they told me no, 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 you can't do that." And this is in all different countries, and they just cry.
Right.
They just
And that's
cry.
the saddest part, Pat. How much of this is so screwed up because of religious protocol and dogma?
Well, that's a big part of it because, again, what I do, I'm Catholic. I went to Catholic school, taught in the Catholic religion for a little while. But what I am is faithful. I'm all about faith. I base a good Christian on how well they treat another human being, on how they reach out to help someone without expecting a pat on the back.
Right.
It's all about not judging. Everything to me is really about being a good person. And that's how I operate. I don't operate under the guise of any type of religion because I work in all these countries. I'm open to every religion,
Right.
every ethnicity. That's just the way it turned out for me. I didn't expect it, like you said. I didn't see it coming. I wasn't giving it back though. I
No.
said that to my husband one day. He had like smoke coming out of his ears on a Thanksgiving when some of my nieces and nephews were asking me about my crystals. And he walked in and he thought, I was teaching class. I said, no, 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 no. And he walked out and I went up and I said, Vinny, I didn't ask for this, but I'm not giving it back. So you need to get on board. And he did. Amazingly, he did.
And that's huge because you have people come into the house at all hours needing healing and
Yes, yes.
from your hands. And for anybody out there who wants to go ahead and look Pat up for her YouTube, for her Instagram, Pat Longo, is it 4 1s 1111?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Because there have been some imposters out there. We want to make sure we get them to the right one. And for those videos too, with the shadows of the wings, I mean, the things that have been transforming for you as a teacher to the classes that you're imparting wisdom. I've had the benefit, I should say, of um, getting to know a lot of your students on the social club. Thanks to you, we have an incredible corral of mediums and psychics, and they are fantastic and they learn through you helping them. And I would love for our listeners and viewers today to get some idea, Pat, of how you teach them to come up with a library of symbols, because I think it's so important. Like just today, I kept hearing this one song in my head, and I was like, what is the deal with this song? And then, of course, as soon as I listened to the lyrics, I realized it was the message that I needed in this very moment. And then
Yes.
as soon as I realized that, the song was gone.
That's right. That's all it takes. And it always does show up. When my husband passed away, I'd be driving around probably aimlessly in the neighborhood. And whatever I was thinking, all of a sudden a song came on to answer it. And I remember even going out to see a client years and years ago, a young man who was in a coma, 13-year-old. And I was concerned. What was I going to say? How was it? And all of a sudden, the song, and I never remember the name, but Mother Mary come to me, speaking words, let it be,
Let it be.
speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And it goes on in the story, and in the song and the lyrics, and it was everything I needed to hear. So I just let it be. I just relaxed, and I said, okay, whatever's meant to happen is going to happen, and that's the way it's going to fly. What I do with people, the symbol library is very important, helping people to understand that we all have guidance. We all are assigned guides the moment we're conceived. Everybody, it doesn't matter what ethnicity, it does not matter. We all have them. And these guides love us very much, and they're here to help us serve. Okay, so if everybody considers the fact that we were a soul before we were human, we agreed to serve. So your guides are going to help you serve. And so if you make a list of the people in your life, maybe starting from grandparents, great grandparents, and make a list, friends, enemies, and so on and so forth. And you put this list down, and now you look at each person and think about what stands out about them to you. Maybe somebody gave the best hugs. Maybe it's what they did for a living or a quirky habit. Maybe it was somebody who made a special dish at holiday time that everybody looked forward to. So you just put down the things. You don't spend a lot of time thinking about it. You just look at them and see what it is. What are you laughing about? Go ahead.
I'm going through my family catalog and I'm like, oh, that one's a pain in the ass. That one drinks too much. That one starts fight. You're like, maybe they give good hugs. Maybe they make the best dish. But you're right, all of it, the good, bad, and the
I
ugly.
didn't get to the tough stuff. I was going to say you need to have a narcissist on your list. You
Good.
need to have someone with an addiction on your list. You need to have someone with an eating disorder. The more you can put on your list, the more your guides have to work with. So now, if everything we get is done through thought, it is guides. Your spirit speaks to you in your voice, not in a big booming male voice or a high pitched female voice. They speak to you in your voice, your random thoughts. Did nobody ever thinks about the fact that they're sitting having lunch with somebody and a crazy random thought just pops in? Now, why would this crazy random thought just pop in? It's got to have some sort of bearing. If you pay attention to it, and if you have the courage enough to say, wow, I just had the craziest random thought. You may find it connects to the person that you're having lunch with, and it's very important to them. Some element of it is going to stand out, and a conversation is going to start, and you never know where it's going to go from there. But it is the way it comes in. So by having this symbol list, it basically gives your guides more tools to work with you because you made the list. So all your guides are doing is plucking the information and popping it to the front of your head.
So you're giving them boundaries. You're giving them a structure. You're giving them a syllabus, if you will.
Right.
Yeah,
It's a new language. It's a new language. You're creating your own language. And why is everyone different? Because no one has the same frame of reference as the next person. No one has your life. No one has my life or anybody else's life. Nobody has spent whatever minutes, hours, days in this body and brain. So therefore, it's all you know. Okay, just for the heck of it, maybe a couple of weeks ago, I was in the food store, and a friend of mine was up from out of state. She was visiting, and their car broke down. So it was in being repaired, and she's got 4 kids, and they're in a hotel room with her husband. And I said, "All right, let me pick you up and take you to go food shopping." So I took her to the store. I didn't need anything. I just had to pick up some meds for my son, and I went in, and she went off on her way. And now I'm looking for her because I'm done, and I'm trying. She wasn't getting a lot, but I'm looking up and down the aisles. I come across her, and we're going to move right up and get out. And I had other places to be, but I wanted to do this. So I'm just about up there, and I said to my guides, is there anything I'm forgetting? And as quickly as that, I remembered, I was given the thought that I was supposed to be making potato salad and macaroni salad for a barbecue the next day. And I had nothing in the house that I needed. So within 3 minutes, I know the store. So I ran boom, 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 boom. I had everything I needed. Thank you, guides.
right.
Okay. That's just a way of them giving you a thought in a memory. Okay. Now they give it to you in storylines too. So the symbol library is tremendous, but you all have many storylines. Everybody has reference material. And all of a sudden, it might pop into your head, and you're supposed to pay attention to it. When I work with clients, I speak in storylines. They tell me stories. They just pop into my head. And it's not like I'm not hearing a voice. I'm getting a thought. And my thought is about maybe somebody with a similar illness. It wouldn't come in if I wasn't supposed to use it. So I I tell people all the time, I bounce all over the place, but I always come back to my teaching points. But I might have to go here because they just gave me this information. Or maybe they popped a book into my head and I have to tell you about that book because it's really important. Or maybe there's something online that I just saw that is going to benefit this person. The thoughts just pop into your head. But
When
people
you're
pay attention. Yes.
And that's the important piece here too. I love, love, love how you talk about prepping to be that vessel, because the intention of how you're going to receive the information has to be from a pure light-driven, service-oriented space, not ego and not,
That's right.
and not, Ouija boards with, dead chickens and whatever. I'm not knocking all Ouija boards. I know some people use them with positive light, but to me, it's just opening the door for chaos on the other side.
Yeah.
And I don't
You
go there.
have to be very protected when you do things like that. You have to know what you're doing. You have to have prayer connected to it. You have to, as you said, it's got to be from the highest light. It's the only way that I can work. It's the only way that I teach. And ego is, they got to kick it to the curb. It doesn't belong here. Ego is who we are. I mean, we wouldn't be here if we didn't have ego, but it is still, it always has to be for everyone's highest good. All right. That's what we do it for. We align ourselves. And, I just got off the line from another medium that I've actually trained in Chicago. And she just wrote a beautiful book called Inside My Heaven. And it is a beautiful book. I endorsed it, actually. I read it first, and now it's on my list of homework, along with many new books. I keep meeting people. I keep meeting amazing people that intuit, and it blows my mind how different they all are. And you asked me, give me an idea of things. I had a young lady come in yesterday, and these kids, they do think they're crazy because things start when they're young and they and they don't even recognize. And I start asking them questions. I said, okay, do you have anxiety? Yeah. How do you feel in crowds? Oh, I don't like crowds. Okay. Do you have digestive issues? Oh, yeah, I got that. Oh, I got IBS. I got this. I got that. Okay. How do you feel? Do you ever feel like you're not alone in your room when you really are? Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, they answer yes to everything I say. And not everybody can do that, but these people do. And I don't care if they're 90. I've actually had a woman 92 call me and say, "Can you help me open up my spiritual gifts? I want to help people." I'm like, "Oh, who are you going to help?" But maybe she's in a community of people that she can, or even in a nursing home. I don't know. I don't question it.
Yeah.
If you're never too old to open up,
Right.
never too old.
And on the flip side, so many young, it's an epidemic right now. We've talked and we've done Zooms with just kids as the focus. And a lot of the kids don't want to turn on their cameras because they're embarrassed. And I remember I was telling my son about it. I said there were some kids in the Zoom and some of them didn't want their cameras on, but the mom was typing in the chat, "Oh, that's resonating. Oh, she's nodding her head." All these little private messages are coming in through the Zoom about the children reacting to the information that you were teaching in our social club, which was beyond helpful. I'm still getting emails like you do all the time. And if people had any idea, Pat, how easy it is to just surround, ground, and shield, just that right there, surround yourself with light, ground yourself to the center of the planet, put on your shield so you're protected from other people's energy. You could go through school, you could go to that mall, you could, stand up and do that presentation and not feel like you're going to pass out or
That's
throw up.
right. That's right. College. I mean, middle school's tough. High school's tough. College is worse because now you don't have your family around or your support group, and you're in a room in college that has been lived in by many, many, many thousands of other kids. And people don't understand that we're made of energy, and that energy absorbs into the concrete. Anything that's made from sand, cement is made from sand. It goes into wood. It goes into anything that came from the earth. Okay, anything that came from the earth. Metal comes from the earth. It's ore. Okay, so anything absorbs. So if you have kids that are depressed, if you have kids that are under horrible stress from trying to make the grades, if you have kids that party a lot, okay, and depression, you've got all these emotions in these rooms, and these sensitive kids get assigned that room, and next thing you know, they want to come home.
Right. They're depressed. They're drinking too much.
Yes.
They're attracting that similar vibration of unrest because like attracts like. That's what's
Like attracts like. Everybody remember it. Two opposite ends of a magnet coming together. Okay. What you put out is what you get back. If you put out fear, you're going to get more of the same. Depression, more of the same. You put out gratitude, you're going to get more things to be grateful for. So it's a lot to learn. It's not hard. I make it as simple as I possibly can. And there's so many other people out there doing what I do. And books are being written every day trying to help people. This is becoming, listen, it used to be very quiet. Now it's huge.
now I think, like you have said, it should be taught in every school.
Yes, elementary school should be in elementary school. Kids should know about anxiety before they go too much further, or being an empath. To know what an empath is, when an empath is absorbing other people's feelings, but you think it's yours. So you're a little girl and somebody else maybe came from an abusive household or has no self-esteem, and all of a sudden you're feeling that energy. You're feeling that energy, and you don't know the difference as a child. Many adults don't know the difference.
Who was it, Pat, that you told the story about? I think it was either a granddaughter or a niece or something, where she was at high school and just couldn't even get through the day because she wasn't surrounding, grounding, and shielding. And then once you taught her that exercise, it all got better. Her grades got better. The depression lifted. Do you remember?
There's so many. There's so many, and my granddaughter is extremely gifted, but I picked that up at 8.5, and by 10 she was seeing three-dimensional spirit people that passed. And my grandniece, same thing, only a year older. They're both right now 16 and 17 at this point, but it's been a long time. She's reading people in school. She's been reading all through COVID. So, they get this information. You made me think of something we were just talking about. But I remember one day she was in school, and it was several years ago, this grandniece of mine. And in her head, she kept seeing her great grandfather or thinking of him, seeing him, thinking of whatever it was. She had a thought of him over and over and over. And I call that a repetitive thought. And the repetitive thoughts are very important. That's when your guides are really pushing you to pay attention. So she went home and she said to her mom, Mom, is today great grandpa's birthday? And it was. So whatever she connected to it, she was obviously feeling or seeing celebration, but enough to come home and say it to her mom. And that's how the thoughts pop in. And you just get these repetitive thoughts and you have to follow them through. So this is how, this is how they read. Everybody that learns Surround, Ground, and Shield, if they apply it, it's up to them. It will work.
And let's walk people through it right now, if you wouldn't mind, just for those who haven't already read your book, The Gifts Beneath
Okay.
Anxiety, or been on your website, patlongo.net. I'll put all of that in the description of this conversation. But describe to everybody who is tuning in right now the Surround, Ground, and Shield.
Well, what you want to do is imagine everything is done by thought. So you want to imagine yourself surrounded by a magnificent bubble of light. You don't have to see it. You don't have to feel it. It's just about thinking it. Thoughts become things. So here we have maybe like Glenda the Good Witch or bubble guppies for a little kid. Everybody's in a nice translucent bubble. So this bubble is filled with God's white light and protection. Now you move to the balance part, the grounding, okay? That was the surround. The ground would now be to imagine that you have cords or roots attached to your feet and your tailbone. It must be three things. If you have to try to envision the tripod of a camera, everybody knows what that looks like. So you imagine those three cords or roots shooting into the earth and locking you in tight like the roots of a big old tree. So you become a tree for 2 seconds. You're sturdy, you're flexible, but you are grounded and locked into that earth. And then the last part is the vest. You put on, in thought, a very shiny metal vest of armor. Now, that vest of armor will stop your anxiety. There's no collar, there's no sleeves, it's not heavy or cumbersome. It fits you perfectly. And it covers your heart and lungs, it covers your solar plexus below your rib cage, and it covers your abdomen. So you have to think about it. Each piece carries something more important. The bubble connects you to God in spirit and keeps negativity at bay. The grounding gives you balance. It connects you to heaven and earth at the same time. And the vest stops the anxiety, but creates a filter for all of the empaths that have been sucking in toxins their whole life like a sponge into their body. So what it does is it creates a filter that stops it from coming in. So the toxins can no longer get in, but the toxins you've already taken in for your lifetime begin to dissipate because they're no longer being fed.
That's important, like a parasite. They have nothing to feed on. That's really important.
So once you kind of do it once in your imagination, say Surround, Ground, Shield. It's enough. But you have to do it once. You have to actually go through the motions once and imagine it so that your guides know what it is that you wish to have happen. And once they're on board, you just say Surround, Ground, Shield. So I make it as easy as I can. As I said, I shortened it. I don't even have that in my book. I shortened it since then because I get so many teenagers and I want them to protect themselves. Of all people, they need to protect themselves. And the only way I can get them to do it is if I give them a shortcut.
So I text my son SGS.
Yes. I think you told me that. I'm saying that's really, really, really getting short.
Us, when you get a teenager, I just do that. Literally, I drop him off at school. I know he forgot. He was just on a camping trip, as you know, Pat. And there were a couple of nights where he was sleeping in a tent with some very anxious kids. And he told me that he used the tool of Surround, Ground, and Shield. He said it didn't work all the time, but it worked some of the time. And when it doesn't work all the time, I'm sure that's when you're stepping into that fear vibration of what was that noise? Am I going to be cold? You're sleeping outside in the rain. It's not.
We always slip back and forth into that fear.
Mm-hmm. And then that's human, and that happens. What were you going to say?
There's an extra step. Okay, the zipper. All right. Now the zipper is if you're concerned that you're walking into a difficult situation, maybe an overwhelming situation, maybe your anxiety is not as in check as you'd like it to be because of those fear elements. You pretend you have a zipper attached to your thumb and your tailbone at the same time. I always just rest my fist on my thigh and I imagine that zipper connected to my thumb and I close everything down, just like a big zipper going over the top of my head.
Yep.
And that's the extra just in case.
Like a duffel bag. Just picture it happening. Just go right up and over. Yeah.
Yep, right up and over. You got to go over your crown because this is your crown chakra. This is where all things come in, all information comes in up there. So you close it up. Okay.
Sleeping for those who are experiencing extreme anxiety, I always tell people to make it ceremonial where you bring in the light. I mean, that's why people say their prayers before they go to bed. I mean, there is an actual vibration to that of bringing in light and bringing in, God and source. But if people aren't prayerful people, what would you recommend they do just so that they can kind of get through the night if they're being disrupted either by bad thoughts or even visions or just anxiety in general?
Well, the zipper closing is closing them down to not be interrupted. But also, if they do have things that go bump in the night, they need to command their own space. And it's very simple to do. Again, people think spirit's in control. It doesn't work that way. We have control. So if you say, no one's allowed in my space, unless you're from the light or unless I invite you, get out.
Bye-bye.
You're not allowed in.
I love the story where you told where somebody did that and they did it in their bedroom and they said,
Oh,
nobody's allowed in my room. And so then what happened? The spirits lined up in the hall.
yeah, they lined up in the hallway, and it was a 10-year-old that did this, and they didn't hear it. Or it by the time it got to her, it did not transfer the same.
Right.
And instead of saying no one's allowed in my space, she said no one's allowed in my bedroom. I said, tell that girl to get tough, and that's what she did. And they all went out and they lined up. So that didn't help the situation. So
In the hall.
your, your space is where you eat, sleep, breathe, walk, and talk.
Right. Yeah.
You have to remember that. So
I'll go. So, whether you're 4 or 92, you can open your intuition. You're probably able to see things or hear things or intuit things or absorb things. And so you need a toolbox. You need a practice every day. When you wake up, Pat, what is your spiritual practice? And then when you shut down, what do you do at the beginning of your day? And what do you do at the end of your day?
oh, you know what? I honestly think I'm in it all the time. I'm told that I'm in my own bubble of people, certain people can see me in it. I'm in this bubble all the time. So I surround, ground, and I do it with each client. As I work on every client, I call in light from above, from God. I call in from Mother Earth through my feet, and I bring everything together to come out my hands. So I surround and protect myself with each client all day long. So I think I'm constantly in it. Closing down, when I used to do classes at home, we would do a healing circle and put people in the healing circle. We'd say them out loud, whoever needed healing. We would build a vortex of light from our hearts, green for healing, pink for love, and white for protection for all of us. And we would put people in, and that our healing circle was our close down in there. I don't do that anymore because classes are too big, and we're also, I guess I could, but everybody pretty much has the same rules now that I work with, that you close those doors when you're closed for business. It's just a thought. You
Right.
know, I'll say for Teresa,
Yeah.
Teresa Caputo, when I trained her years ago, I told her, when you light your white candle, you're open for business. When you blow it out, you're closed. And she still uses that, to my knowledge, to this day. There's always candles on the set, and when she's working, it's always been that way. She will also listen to my universal white light meditation that's online. I put it on tape for her years ago, and then eventually I gave it to her on a CD. But she will listen to that before she goes on stage, and it's
Anyone
her tool.
that it's on your YouTube. And
Yes, it's all there,
yeah.
and it's a great form of protection. And I'm doing it 30 years, so I'm always in the light, and I stay there.
So tell me this, Pat, why is it that some people can come and see you and it's like, poof, they're all better. And then others, come and they struggle and they still have, obviously everybody's got a different fate, different destiny, different.
Good question. I tell I tell people sometimes, say if I go into a hospital or a nursing home and I'll say, I don't know if I'm here to help you live or help you pass. I really don't know because I'm not the person in charge of it. That it's always coming through me. I'm the director. Obviously, I've been given a role that I'm supposed to be doing, and I do a lot of thought in my head during the course of that procedure of the healing. Um, but I see it so much in my space. Let's just say, well, I even see it online. It's the same. I'm talking to you like you're sitting in front of me.
Yeah.
I see the difference in people's faces when the healing is done. They go from one face to a different face. Some people actually pink up. They get all flushed after healing, or their eyes become really clear. I see like a younger, I don't know, maybe I'm just seeing it in my own intuition, but I see such change in people. I don't know why. Maybe somebody comes in with 5 things wrong with them and I do a healing and they leave with 2, but 3 things go away. Why? I don't know. Maybe they have more to learn from that pain. I want to heal the world. Okay. But that's not the way it works. It's not for me. It is for everybody to learn their own personal lessons on their own personal journey. And if they come to me and they're able to understand what I say and how I teach them how to let go of pain and heartache and abuse and abandonment and all these different issues, and they're open for that healing, it's going to happen. But they have work to do too. They have work to do too. That's what their homework is for.
They all have homework. I remember when James Van Praagh told me that when you pass over, you still have homework. I'm like, seriously? Even that place, you got to go to class and take exams? By golly, it's always good.
We have a lot of work that we do on the other side.
We're always learning. And if anybody's watching this right now and it's before August 22nd of 2021, please tune in on our Zoom. Pat will be not only teaching her intuitive workshop, but also doing a healing on all in attendance. And that's where you can experience what she's talking about, that sparkle in your eye. I love, Pat, at the end of it, where people are like, well, what colors did you see? And some people are seeing colors in other people. And it's a really cool experience in this gallery to see how people are transformed. But also get Pat's book, The Gifts Beneath Your Anxiety, patlongo.net, and Pat Longo 1111 in social media, and on YouTube, get those meditations. I don't know if I left anything out, Pat. Did I leave anything out?
I'm going to do an Instagram live tomorrow.
Okay.
Somebody's interviewing me from California, so we're going to be, and he's a medium, and we're going to do it at 1 o'clock New York time.
Okay. So
I know it's 10 a.m. Pacific time, so that would make it 12 o'clock Central time. Yes.
Yep. So
I'm going to do that, and that should be fun. And it's going to be very different than what we do on the social group, because he's set up all kinds of questions for me that are kind of crazy questions.
Cool. All right, I'll be tuning.
What does Longo do when she's hungry at the end of the day? It's just fun stuff, and it's going to be a little bit different. So.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, Pat, it's always so great to connect with you and talk with you. Patlongo.net is where you can find Pat. JennWeigel.com is where you can find me. Please treat others the way you'd like to be treated. And thanks for tuning in, everybody. And we will see you next time. And I'll see you on Sunday. Actually, no, I'll see you on Instagram tomorrow. You won't see me, but I'll see you tomorrow. Sound good, Pat?
Thank